I'm Luce, welcome back to my channel. Today I am filming a video of a load of queer book recommendations for Pride Month. Also, a very quick note before, if you can hear my aircon, then just please ignore that. It is currently so hot in the UK right now. In my office here, it is 27.5 degrees, which I'm sure, right, I've had this conversation with a lot of people. People think that the UK is really overdramatic when it comes to like talking about the temperature and stuff, because it's like 27, that's like not too hot. In the UK, 27 may as well be the surface of the sun, because number one, it is humid as hell. We get like, it is so damp and oppressive heat, but also our houses are built to keep heat in. So when it gets hot, you're kind of just screwed because there's no way to cool it down. So I have my aircon on because otherwise I would be sweating. But yeah, like I said, I just wanted to film a video with just a load of some of my favorite queer books because it's Pride Month, happy Pride. And I am somebody who I do like to make a conscious effort to try and read queer books as a queer person myself. And some of these I think are like pretty mainstream books, like books that a lot of people have read, a lot of people will know about. Some of them might be a little bit more niche. But yeah, I love all of these books a lot, so I just wanted a chance to just yap about them. Like I said, just talk about queer books for Pride Month. Now, I do also have in this stack some of the books that I have mentioned in my like God tier book series that I have yapped about excessively before, so those ones I'm kind of just gonna breeze through and just kind of show you and be like, this is this book. Because if you watch pretty much any of my other videos, then you will probably have heard me talk about them. So I'm going to get those out of the way first. Okay, so the first of those ones is, of course, going to be The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. This is a series that I've talked about a lot. Like I said, it's in my God tier book series. This is also, I would say, one of the perfect books to read around the summer. Then we have my beloved Carry On, another one that I think is fantastic to read in the summer. All for the Game by Nora Sakavic. I truly don't think I've ever had a video where I'm talking about books that I love in any capacity where this hasn't come up. We have the Beast of the Briar series by Elizabeth Helen, Polyamorous Beauty and the Beast with Faye, and then finally Zodiac Academy. This is one that I actually, all the others I knew going into them that there was going to be queer rep. I had no idea that there was any queer characters in this series, and when I tell you that the queer relationship in this is one of my favorites in pretty much any series I've read, I'm not joking. Please read Zodiac Academy. So those are like the ones that I talk about a lot. Those are my recurring faves. The rest of these I've definitely mentioned a couple of these previously, but not as in depth. So I wanted to give them their moment to shine. So this first one is one that I read back in 2018 when it came out, and it is Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Nyan. This was a Fairy Loot pick, which is why I heard about this book in the first place, and I have read this book twice, and I have really loved it both times. This is set in a world where society is separated by caste, and the lowest class of society is the paper girls, which our main character Lay is part of. And one day when she's just in her family's shop minding her own business, the royal guards come and take her to be one of the paper girls for the king. So basically his consorts, his concubines, that kind of thing. And she obviously does not want to be there whatsoever, but she finds kinship with another one of the paper girls there, and their relationship and their romance blooms from there. This is a book that definitely deals with some darker subject matter. Like, there is definitely a kind of ongoing theme of sexual assault in this series, but I love this book, and I am so mad that I have read this book twice and I have never continued on with the sequels. I own both of them, I just haven't read them, so maybe this will be the year that I finally continue on with this series. Okay, then I have a book that is part of a series that was in my favourite books from last year. So this is The Lost Boys Duet by Jessie Walker. The first one is Where There's a Way. This one is a hard-hitting, not dark romance, but like deals with darker topics in it. It follows two main characters who used to be best friends when they were children, and then something happened and one of them ended up moving away, but then many years later he ends up moving back to this town and they end up reconnecting. Like I said, this book is really hard-hitting and emotional. This series made me cry a lot. I really love the relationship that is built between the characters. I love the found family, and yeah, I think that this series is extremely underrated, but again, look up your trigger warnings if you're interested in reading this one. Okay, then I'm just gonna do a throwback. Like, this is an old school classic fave that I read, again, when this book came out, which was in 2017, and that is The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee. I have read this book so many times. This was my favorite book for years and years. This was my favorite book. I would recommend it to everyone, and this was also really hyped on BookTube at the time, like back when I was like 18, watching a lot of BookTube. but I don't see anyone talk about it nowadays, and I think that that's a crime. This is a historical way with a little bit of magical realism in it, and it follows these characters, one of which is our main character Monty, who is going on a tour of Europe before, I believe it's before he's like an adult and he has to like settle down and be responsible and stuff. So it's him, his younger sister, and his best friend Percy, who he is in love with. And this book is just, it's fun, it's so much fun. It definitely does deal with like some more emotional things in it as well, but this is just one that if you are looking for just a silly, goofy, fun, good time, this series is so fantastic. There are 2 other books in this series, one following Monty's sister and then one following their younger brother set many years later, and I do really like both of those ones, but this one's just so good. Let's do a recent one from this year. That is Evocation by S.T. Gibson. This is a book that I feel like I have not seen that many people loving and enjoying. I loved it. This might be my favourite book I've read this year. I thought it was fantastic. This one is a polyamorous witchy series. So our main character David is dealing with a demonic possession potentially issue, and he is not qualified to deal with it on his own, so he recruits the help of his ex and his wife, and it's very messy. The relationship dynamics are very, very messy, but also beautiful. This book, like I said, I don't think this has got enough hype, and I don't see enough people loving this. I really, really enjoyed the exploration of sexuality and polyamory and the kind of difficulties, but also the beauty that can come with that. I am absolutely dying for the sequel for this one, and like S.T. Gibson just never does me wrong. Like, her books are always fantastic. Next up, one that I couldn't not talk about is Wolfsong by TJ Klune. This is another one that I've spoken about a couple times, I think, on my channel, but this one I describe as heartbreaking but beautiful queer werewolves. So it's a series of 4 books, but they are companion novels, so each book follows a different couple. This first one follows Ox and Joe, and this one, especially more so than the others, is really about found family and really finding yourself with your people. And it this series makes me sob with both sadness and joy. I think it is so beautiful, I think it is so heartbreaking, and I really love the way that relationships in general are done in this series, whether they are romantic, whether they're platonic. I think that the way that TJ Klune has crafted it is so beautiful. Like, I have no other word other than beautiful. If you want found family, then you have to pick up this series. Go for one more that I've talked about quite a few times on my channel, which is the Criminal Intention series by Cole McCade. The way that I describe this is Criminal Minds if it was extremely queer, if like every single character was queer. And I love it. I need to continue on with this series. I read the first kind of arc of this series. I haven't continued on, but this one follows 2 detectives who work at the Baltimore Police Department. They are doing the kind of like crime of the week solving thing, while there's also a big overarching plot going on as well. I am not typically like a police detective thriller kind of girly, but this really works for me, and a lot of it I think is because of the characters. The characters are so fascinating. They are so flawed but also relatable, and just I love this series, and I think that this is another one that is really, really underhyped. Okay, this next one is a little bit of a throwback again. I read this, I think, 2021 or 2022, I can't remember, but it is Learn Your Lesson by Katie Robert. Katie Robert is an author that I love. All of my Katie Robert books are right over here, so I'm just looking at them. I have read so many of their books, and I have loved so many of them as well, but this one is one that I think will always have a little bit of a soft spot in my heart, because this was the second one that I read from them. So I loved this one so much. This is the second book in the Wicked Villains series, which is a series of kind of twisted Disney retellings where the villains kind of like get the romance in it. So this one is a poly relationship between Hades, Hercules, and Meg. This is very smutty. Like, if you're going into Katie Robert books, for the most part, be aware that they are very, very smutty, they're very spicy. This series especially has a lot of BDSM kind of kink stuff in it. So be aware of that going into it if that's not your thing. But I adored this. I really loved the relationship dynamic between the 3 of them. I liked how Meg and Hades had an existing relationship, and the introduction of Hercules, kind of how that changed the dynamic for the better for them. I think I'm definitely gonna have to reread this one, because it's been a while. If you want like a smutty, fun, good time with poly queer relationships in it, this is the one for you. This one's a slightly more recent fave because I read this one last year, but it is Delilah Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake. This was also, I believe, in my favourite books from last year. This one is a sapphic contemporary romance. So one of our main characters, Delilah, is a photographer and she has a strained relationship with her stepmother and her stepsister, but she has been asked to come and be the photographer for her stepsister's wedding. And our other main character, Claire, is Delilah's stepsister's best friend. So she is, I think she's a bridesmaid in the wedding. She's somehow involved in the wedding. And it is basically just the relationship between Claire and Delilah, and it also, again, you might notice a theme. I really like books that have a strong romantic connection, but also a really good exploration of like platonic and familial relationships. I think that that is something that I really, really enjoy reading in books, and we get that again in this book. Because yeah, I think a really important element of this story is both Delilah's relationship with Claire and also with her sister. This is book 1 in a series, and I actually have book 2 on my TBR for this month, so I'm hoping I get to that one really soon and that I love it as much as this one. There was no way that I wasn't going to include a Shadowhunter book in this video, and I decided to put in the Dark Artifices series by Miss Cassandra Clare. This is the 3rd series in the Shadowhunter world as a whole, my personal favourite series in the Shadowhunter series in general, and this one I think also has the best queer representation in it. I don't really want to go too much into what this book specifically is about because, like I said, it's the 3rd book in the Shadowhunter series as a whole, but I love this series so much. The characters in this are my favourites from all of her series, and oh, it's so shiny as well. It's catching the light really nicely. And like I said, the queer representation in this was not, it sounds weird to say not what I expected, but it wasn't, but I thought it was done so well, so thoughtfully, and I need to reread the series. I'm planning on doing a massive Shadowhunter reread binge this year. If you haven't read the Shadowhunter series, I would recommend, but just know that there's some weird shit in the first books, but it's worth it to get to this series. It's so worth it. Another one that, like, it wouldn't be me if I didn't bring up this author and this book, God of Fury by Rena Kent. I don't think I can rave and like gush enough about this book. This one is so popular. Like, I'm sure so many people know this book, know this series as a whole, but I couldn't not recommend it. I love this book. When I read this last year, I read this in 24 hours. And this is a thick book. Like, this paperback is 600 pages. And like, nowadays I do not have the brain capacity to sit and binge 600 pages, but for this book I did. This one is the 5th book in the Legacy of Gods series, which is the kind of 2nd generation of her universe in general. It is set in a university and it follows our 2 main characters, Bran and Nico. I don't really want to say anything else about it because I don't think I really need to. This book is just fucking amazing. Okay, we are nearing the end, but we have another fantasy book here, which is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. I really need to reread this book. I haven't read this book in a good few years. This is a very whimsical, magical, dreamlike story. It follows our main character who, when he's in the library one day, finds this book that has a story from his life in it. And from there it just kind of goes. Like I said, this is like a fever dream of a book. The plot isn't particularly strong. This is all about vibes. I do not think that this is going to be a book for everyone. I know a lot of people don't like this book and I completely understand the critiques of it. However, for me, this worked so well, and like I said, I think I might actually reread this summer. Second to last book, we are going to go with Written in the Stars by Alexandria Belfleur. This is a sapphic romance. I read the 3rd book in this companion series last month and also gave that one 5 stars, but I don't think I've specifically spoken about the 1st one yet on my channel, and I thought this would be the perfect time to bring it up. This, like I said, is a sapphic contemporary romance. It follows these 2 main characters who get set up for a date, and I would say the date goes pretty terribly, but for reasons, they both pretend that the date went actually quite well, because the guy who set them up is the sister of one of them and the best friend of the other. And so they kind of want to almost get him off their backs a little bit about dating. So they decide to fake date. And it's very much opposites attract. It is surprisingly spicy. Like, I remember when I read this 1st book, I was not expecting the level of spice in it, so I was very pleasantly surprised by that. And also this series has a lot of focus on astrology, and I mentioned this I think maybe in my wrap-up when I was talking about book 3. I'm not someone who's like super into astrology, but like I do find it very interesting. And like I'm someone who, like, if I'm scrolling and I see, ooh, what book should you read based on your zodiac sign? What color do you like based on your zodiac sign? I will always look. Always. And this does have, I don't know if I'll be able to find one actually. Yes, I found one. So this is what brunch food are you based on your zodiac sign. So I'm a Pisces, and apparently I am a giant cinnamon roll. So yeah, I just thought that was a really fun little addition into this series. And then the last book I am going to talk about is another series that I've spoken about quite a few times. It's Pucking Around by Emily Rath. This book in particular is an MMFM ice hockey romance. The rest of the series has different kind of relationship dynamics, but they are all queer in their own way. So for example, book 2 is an MF, but our FMC is a very out and proud bisexual girly. But I love this series. This one also, if I remember correctly, this book specifically has a lot of focus on astrology as well. So maybe I do actually like astrology in books. Maybe that's a running theme. But yeah, these are super spicy, but also sweet ice hockey romances. There are 3 books out currently in the series. The 4th one is coming out, I believe, in July. And I'm also reading currently book 3 on my Kindle. So yeah, if you are in the market for something that is super spicy, super fun, super heartfelt, and with a very light sprinkle of sport, like just a little bit of a mention of hockey, then yeah, this is a series you should be picking up. Okay, that is all of the book recommendations I have for right now. Hopefully there's some books in here that you maybe haven't heard of, or that you are interested in picking up and trying out. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to give it a like and subscribe if you feel like it, and hopefully I'll see you in a new video again soon. Bye!